There's so much to unpack there. I got to start somewhere. So you started out, I love the idea of the strategy and execution side, right? But you started out by saying most companies don't have a well-defined strategy. And then on top of that, if you don't have a well-defined strategy, but then you have an ICP that no matter what industry you're in, they're complex and they're always changing, right? So you don't have a good strategy. You got a complex, changing ICP, and then we have massive market dynamics and trends and things that are happening. That is chaos. Yet most CROs, you are held accountable every single quarter, right? You've got a quota on your head. You go into the board meeting. Nobody wants to know anything except for how we doing on this quarter's quota and what's next quarter looking like. So there's this very short-term focus while there's this overall dynamic that's eating away at that. You've signed up for your fifth time living in that environment. Tell me, using the Helix, right? How do you carve success out of that? Because that's a difficult situation to be in as a CRO.
As you point out, the results are important and the results are expected every month on month and quarter on quarter and year on year. We all love those comparisons. And even frankly, if you work in a private company where you're not reporting externally, it's still important and required. And I've operated in both a public company, a private company, and a family-owned company, and a private equity-backed company. So the truth is consistent across that. So how do you keep all of this aligned while delivering results? And I really do think it comes back to a well-defined strategy. I think it all does come back to strategy, because what a strategy does is not only identifies your target market, your ideal customer profile, and where you are going to over a longer period of time, not in the next quarter or the next 6 months. It's also a vehicle to communicate both internally as well as externally why you as an organization exist, why you matter, why a customer should consider working with you. And if you're able to crystallize that and it resonates both internally and externally, then everyone is aligned behind it and can follow through. And it becomes the guiding light, if you will, for when things need to change and why. Often people, when you win a new opportunity or a new deal or a new customer, there's a big celebration. But often you learn a lot more from when you lose. And often when you lose because of some competitive edge that either you don't have or a competitor has. And if you ignore that and you don't consider that and evaluate that input and adapt along the way, you'll fall out of sync with the market. So I think it is about a really well-defined strategy that can communicate it internally so that the entire team can go along on the journey with you. Why are things working and why are they not? Why did the results come in the previous quarter or why did they not? And so if you continue to refine that and use that as your anchor point, and if it resonates as well externally with customers, that's how I think you keep this all aligned. The operating model must change and will change over time. People don't seem to have too much concern when you have to adapt the operating model. But if it's anchored in a well-defined and articulated and researched strategy that has to evolve by nature as the market evolves, then I think you can keep these things aligned.